How are you? Happy New Year. No, I didn't even know. Yes. Yeah.
Hi.
Which group are you guys?
We're the Santa Clarita Internet Marketers.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yes.
Great.
So I asked Diane to bring in some books. I'm going to try and sell them for you guys because we sold a bunch last time too.
Yeah, no, you guys are great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. What's your name again? Keith. Nice to meet you. You're late tonight.
Yeah. I'm staying late tonight.
Oh. Hello, Happy New Year. Good. Okay. All right. Hey, Anthony. We're going to get started on that. We're going to get started in a sec. Oh yeah, where's that? Because you're gonna be as soon as I get through some housekeeping, and then we're gonna go. Hi. Hi, welcome to the group. We're gonna get started. Since we have a guest speaker, I want to make sure that we give him as much time as he can grab on this one. So, how many is the first time at the group? Okay, so welcome. Just so you know what the group is about. Basically, anything dealing with internet marketing, small business, entrepreneurship, we kind of cover the gamut, but mostly with the digital marketing side of it, all the way from questions about websites to content, social media, anything that you want or have interest to want to know about or have interest on. That's what we try to cover for anybody who comes. First thing is, Barnes & Noble allows us to use this room for free. And they have been very generous over the years to allow this room to be open 11 out of 12 months of most of the years that we've been out here. And it's been about 4 or 5 years now. So in the more recent times, they've been asking me if they could actually find a way that they could probably get more of a return for the usage of the room. They've even kind of asked if we would be interested in even charging. Now, originally when we first got the room, they weren't allowing us. You couldn't charge. It had to be open to the public, and you couldn't pitch anything. You couldn't sell anything. But I guess, when Amazon and the competitors that they have out there in the book industry, anything that they can do to go ahead and that us as a community can support them, they're asking us to do that. So many of us that are actually in the industry do read quite a bit. I try to do about a book every 2 months. Not real aggressively. I know Anthony literally he destroys books. He ear tags them, writes in them. So if you ever loan him a book, don't expect it back. You don't want it back. But the guy, the thing is, the education that's out there in books today is very valuable. 2 books that have been really influential in 2017 for me that I asked them to bring in. One is Persuasion. It's by Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence. And it talks a lot about the subconscious mind and how the brain works and how little subtle things can influence people to actually make you extra persuasive. In this book, Persuasion, he enhanced even more about things that happen before you actually communicate with somebody. These little things that are happening. This book and his other book, Influence, which they don't have on the shelf right now, I highly recommend it if you're doing any type of marketing, selling, or even if you're in a relationship, whether it's with your kids, a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, adult, because it's really a different level of human psychology. He's a psychologist that went into the marketing world and uses that as well. And it's based with, there's studies on stuff that he's done or other things that are in there that are just really, really good for. Now, they only had one copy on the shelf. And I asked them to bring in, I think, 8 of them in the past. And the last time I brought them in, they had like 3 or 4 of them gone before we even had our meetup. So this is the last copy of that. The other book, which has been actually taking a lot of the internet marketers by storm, is actually called The Big Leap. And it's by a guy named Gay. This is the last copy. Okay, you can take it if you want. Okay, Gay Hendricks. Okay, so Gay Hendricks is, he's kind of like I guess a motivational type speaker, or he helps people with whatever their path is. He's really more of a life business coach type person. But one of the things that he has come in, has really influenced a lot of very successful, 7-figure internet marketers that are out there that have courses that teach different things, have actually taken this and expanded their business even further when they thought they were close to their limits. And it really goes into a lot of people have really good skills. And at that level of skill that we have, we're very comfortable, and we usually stay in that level. When there's actually passions that we have even more skills about that we don't tap into because of fear. And he talks about how once you tap into the passion that you really enjoy, the income potential is, multitudes more, is basically what he said. So he calls it the level of his genius level. And most people work in a different level of just being very good at what they do. So a good, example, which really struck a chord with me, is I'm actually pretty good with using Google AdWords. And it's something I'm very comfortable with. I'm extremely comfortable. In fact, that's my full-time job, is I work with a really large Google AdWords, Bing, and PPC type accounts. But it's not a passion. And so when I was being kind of coached and somebody was telling me to go down a certain path, which would be consulting for this, because I could make some really good money. A couple $1,000s per consulting per month for a couple of, maybe 4 or 5 people. It could bring an extra $5,000-$6,000 a month if I wanted to do it. And there was a path that could be easily done, and I have the credibility behind me. But I do come across the same thing everybody else has, the fear of success, the fear of failure, just fears in general that I have to kind of overcome myself. And even though I handle probably bigger accounts than most people out there, even the, what do they call that complex where the fraud, what do they call that? No, it's when you feel as though you're a fraud, when you're really not. When people have that, they don't feel as though they're. Yeah, and even though, like I said, I probably have done or do a lot of things a lot higher than most people have in the field that I'm in. But it still comes across that way. But a lot of it is because it's not my passion. And so this book does open your eyes to, because it asks you the questions: what do you love? What would you do for free? What would you do for, and then it tells you how to go ahead and turn that into income in a lot larger ways. So these internet marketers, there's a guy who called the podcast Answer Man. Have any ever heard of him? Cliff Ravenscraft. So he runs this pretty big podcast, and he was, anybody who wanted to know anything about podcasting, he was the guy to go to. People would pay him $15,000, $20,000 to do a full setup for a couple hours in his consulting, how to do everything from scratch from start to finish and really build out a business. And when he came across this book and he started to really pick at it, he really found out that his passion wasn't so much helping people with podcasting. He's really, really good at, he's working in his zone of excellence. That's what it's called, because he's excellent at it. But his zone of genius was actually unlocking people's potential based on what they're supposed to be doing with their life, using digital marketing on top of that. And with that, he's been able to go ahead and have one-on-one consultants where somebody would come to his house and he charges like $15,000 to $20,000 a day for one person to come. Then he has these $7,000 seminars in his house where he has 12 people come over, and his income has just exploded going after what his passions are. And this book was able to unlock a lot of that. So I'm sorry that at this beginning sounds like a pitch for it, but on behalf of Barnes & Nobles to helping us out, this is a, to be honest, it's what we call a no pitch group. Okay, so which means you're not here to be sold anything, you're here to be educated, I think. Now, that being said, when we do have a guest speaker that come in, I do give them the platform and the ability to go ahead and promote a product that they actually are doing at the end. Now, content marketing in the world that we are living in today, that was one of the subjects I wanted to get into. Anthony was gracious enough to go ahead and volunteer to share some of the knowledge that he's had. How much year? 5 years ago we met? 6 years? 5 or 6 years ago, literally the guy was sitting right here where he's sitting today. And he started asking some really fundamental questions about getting a website ranked. And we've been doing the group for about 4 years, 3 years prior to that. And he went, and the next month he came back. He implemented some of the minor things that we had told him to do it, and the website was able to take #1 in the spot of the words that he wanted to go after. And from that point on, he got the bug. And I've seen this guy grow in knowledge and share so much with so many different things. And one of the big things that he got drawn to was Facebook. So he became my Facebook go-to guy. His knowledge in that area has been huge, even though I've always hated social media, and I still hate it. I think I go on Facebook maybe once every 3 weeks. It's a necessity to be on there, but nonetheless, anytime that I've been taught something about Facebook, it can be implemented in other streams of marketing. And that's one thing. That's why whether or not you are going to go into the Facebook realm, one, you'll get your eyes open to how Facebook can use in other ways and maybe implement in your business. But take the concepts and understand that a concept in marketing that gets people to do something can be used not only on one platform, it can be then transferred to other platforms, including Google AdWords, a blog, podcast, a YouTube video. Those type of things, they're all integrated and they all serve a purpose. So before I bring Anthony up, though, I would like to go ahead and have Mike had a good question. He came a little early, and I would like to have an opportunity to go ahead and ask a question so he can get a feel of potentially launching a business out here, really, is what it is. But Mike, did you want to come up and just share? Or you? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Murray. This is my first time being here. I'm a digital marketer for 15 years, worked a lot of celebrities, built a lot of websites. Not a pitch. My question is this. I drive down to Los Angeles really regularly to rent studios, normally White Sykes, soundproof rooms to do a short video. And a lot of times it's a pitch video, sometimes it may be an actual short film, commercial. And I'm kind of tired of driving down to LA and paying a lot more than I probably should because there's nothing out here in Santa Cruz. So I just literally Googled a bunch of places that like-minded people would be in. And my simple question to you guys is, do you think a 25 by 25, if not 30 by 30 box, soundproof, light grid, all-encompassed studio would be rentable? Would you or someone you know rent a space to either do stroke photography or videography in a studio like that out here in Santa Cruz?
Like a little bit bigger.
Interesting. How big do you think is appropriate?
30, 40 at a minimum, just so we could use some longer lenses and have a solid sight on the back wall, so we can get green or white or whatever we need. Pre-light is really handy. The size stage that you mentioned, very much SCV TV right now, and it's workable, but you get up against the wall.
So do they rent out that space for? Oh, so
SCTV does that?
SCV.
it's a local television station.
And you said it's what?
It's very small. It's like not much bigger than that. It's half this room.
And it's pre-lit as well?
They have a bunch of lights up. They're generally not pointing in the right direction.
Gotcha. And do you rent it by the hour, by the day?
Hour.
Really?
And it can come with crew if you need. And it's reasonably priced.
Gotcha. Ballpark question. For reasonably priced, is that $500 a day or less?
More.
More. Okay.
More. But for most shoots, you get in and out of there for about 500.
Gotcha. So about 40 by 40 square feet is.
Yeah.
I did not know SCTV was here.
That's a great resource to know about.
But bigger would be nice.
Yeah. I know it's there. I didn't want to.
He's laughing. LAMS Studios, I don't know the status of it, but there's 70,000 square feet soundstage out there. It's not soundproof, but there's nothing near it. And they are real soundstage.
What I found is that, and I don't need 70,000 square feet.
No, but they're broken up. That's total. There's a 10,000, there's an 8,000, there's a 3,000, there's a 5,000, and then there's a soundstage. But if you're looking, I don't think the rentals really. I used to rent it out. We did a concert there and a dinner there, and I don't think it was more than $3,000 to rent it for a day and a half.
Now, would equipment be included in your idea?
Oh yeah, as of right now. I mean, basically, the premise behind it for myself is I'm going to build this already and do it myself.
Yeah.
But I need 30 by 30. It's like that's my sweet spot. Anything bigger than that, but it makes more sense to go a little bit larger than open up for the public to actually rent it out. So it sounds like a middle market. That's on that.
Well, think soundstage for thing is when you feed the mass and eat with the classes.
I heard that before, but
Yeah. Then again, wait, feed the masses, eat the classes. The more broader the spectrum for your rental, the more money you'll make. If you're doing it just for a sound stage and you're just renting for people shooting, you're missing the whole market where people may want to have an event, do something there for a few hours.
is there enough market for that, you think? For
Yeah, I
I
think,
think, you know, if it also included sound, just a sound, like a sound booth type room too, I know that there is a demand for those type of places that are out there.
The mall, what's it called? The new conference hall? The Canyon Club. They can seat 800 people there. That's the largest venue in Santa Clarita, bar none. The Hyatt can only seat 300. So they can do a concert event there and they have all the sound.
No, but I was just telling you, Tony's talking about a small room rate. So I mean, that's
And I'm
that's
just
not
saying,
true.
as far as rentals go,
Yeah.
there's big and there's really small. The mid-range, you would want to have, I would recommend you do a membership for people that shoot.
No, that's why I pitched my friends. Like, it's a bad idea. So I'm glad you agree with me.
I'm a membership site, so I'm a big fan of residual membership.
Yeah.
But allows them certain access, certain number of days a year at a better rate than the street. And if you have enough people willing to buy the membership, then you build it.
The original premise around it was, I forgot what I was talking to before, was actually having small office spaces attached to a type of worship place where they would have hours they could work at and then a studio they could do, mainly photography, video. The idea is more sliding from that. Anyone else know any specific case companies that are doing this, either a larger end or smaller? Is that
Steamworks.
Okay. You know, so yeah, so and you know, I want to make sure Anthony gets time at the end of the night. If anybody has any questions about that idea, or Mike, if you want to ask anybody else later on, that'd be great. The other thing about this meetup group, the other thing that I want to really push is if you have questions that come up while you're here or even before, the goal of this meetup, because we only meet once a month, is to make sure that you get a chance to ask your question. Okay, so at the end of the evening, we're going to have questions for Anthony for sure after his contents. But before that, did anybody come with a question that they were dying to ask before we start? That perhaps you can. Usually, there's about a third of beginners in the room, a third of people who have just started, and a third of experience. So there's a good range of people who have all different skill levels. So if you have a question that you want to ask, it'd be good to ask. Yes.
I have a really quick question.
Sure.
Regarding local business websites.
Yes.
I know that there's the website, the platform builders, or website builders. I use WordPress, most people, but I would like to find out if there's a better way to build a particularly local. I know that I think it's Reach Local. I think they use like Div or something.
Divi themes?
Yeah, Reach Local uses a plug and play type of system. But I was just wondering if anybody here knows of a better system besides WordPress that one can use for local sites. I know that some of them are coming out and they have their like phone number. It's just the mobile websites are better on them. I'm just wondering.
Does anybody know about that? One thing I want to just my 2 cents on that. One thing that's really good about WordPress is it's very SEO friendly. Because you got to make sure that the sites get ranked. A lot of people, I hear so many people saying, "Oh, I'm building a new site. It's all on Wix," or they're using what is that other one? The things that are similar to Wix that are all these super fast. Squarespace. They look beautiful. Yeah, Squarespace. Another. They look really, really good. But some of the sites cannot rank. I mean, no matter what, even for their own business name, they don't rank, and it's really a shame that they don't. They love their site so much they're stuck with it. They're not going to move off of it. And yes, WordPress can be a little cumbersome to go ahead and make, churn out sites and do it that way. But one thing that is very beneficial to that platform is that it is very SEO friendly. That's
what I've noticed. It's just the website that I create. It is responsive, but the mobile application.
Are you talking about templates or are you talking about the platform?
Talk about the platform. I wonder if anybody
Have you looked at templates, or the various templates?
I have a good template now. I'm just wondering if there's
I
anybody.
thought you just said you didn't like your template.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I don't want to look for another template. That is a very common
That's
thing.
probably what you need to do.
You mentioned something which Gavi, which is a template that's really popular right now. It is wonderfully responsive and really easy.
Yeah, the DIVI, right? The Divi themes.
Right.
Yeah.
The page plugin, you can pretty much customize the mobile site.
Yeah, Instapage plugin. That's yeah.
That's frustrating maybe with WordPress. I've had clients that try every other thing and they have to come back and let's say
WordPress and customize what you want it to look.
You know, even if it is, I mean, I'd say even if you really want it to look a little good, spend a little money on getting it. But as beautiful as some sites are, like I said, if you go away from it and it can't be found, it's useless. I mean, the sites that really make me the most money are the ugliest sites on the planet. Really, and they're still on there right now. But having somebody transferred over to Steve helped me get somebody to transfer over my ugly site into WordPress, and I told him keep the ugliness. And all these other people I actually pitched it to earlier try to make it all beautiful, but the thing is, it doesn't make revenue that way, for depending on what your purposes are. But if you can make it both look good and get found, that's the money. Yeah.
There's other things inside the front end.
Okay. If we have any other questions, I would like to go ahead and just bring Anthony up first. If you can hit me up after the meetup tonight, or anybody else has anything comes up. In the meantime, Anthony, do you have slides or anything, or?
I didn't write any slides.
Okay. Should I?
But the promise we made was
Oh,
how to use Facebook to build a network of ideal prospects.
Wait, Anthony.
What can happen when you have? Oh, sorry.
It's streaming live.
Hello to all those in the streaming live community. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in online. So the promise we made was how to use Facebook to build a network of ideal prospects that you can, and what can happen when you have the right message with the right market and the right offers. Does that sound like something that would benefit you guys tonight? All right, cool. So my name's Anthony Frank. I guess before we kick it off, like Chris said, the object of this workshop that's been going on for years, long before I ever found it, was that if you have questions, don't leave without asking your questions, because even if we can't answer them, we know somebody that can. Between the three of us and some of the people in the room that have been doing this for a really long time, we have a network of all the way up to Russell Brunson, who owns ClickFunnels. So there's a question, please make sure that you get it out there so we can direct you to the right answer or the right person that can answer it for you. As Chris said, am I in the wrong place because of that projector right there? Is this fine? As Chris said, you know, I once sat in these chairs. It was like 2012. I was in college at COC. And so I had a friend, Chris Arias, who was in the same class as me, intro to digital media class. And he said, hey, there's a free internet marketing class here in town at the Barnes & Noble. And I said, no way, it's free? And he said, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go check it out. And I went. And at the time, I had built a site for Gavin MacLeod. Anybody know who Gavin MacLeod is? So I had built the website for Gavin MacLeod. And I came in and I was like, hey, man, this is Gavin MacLeod. The website is gavinmacleod.com. It doesn't even rank for his own name. Like, what's wrong? And Chris is like, well, you need backlinks. And I was like, well, what's that? And he's like, well, it means that other sites are going to link to you. And I'm like, okay, let me go find some of those. So I left the room and I called up Princess Cruises, because he was our spokesman for many, many years, probably still is. And I said, hey, we need some backlinks. And they're like, okay, we can write you some backlinks. And so that's what they did. And pretty soon, all of a sudden, his site was outranking IMDb, which was the whole thing. It was like, man, it's his name. He's the official site. He should be ranking #1 for his name. And so it worked. And just so happens I built that site on Wix. Who would have thought it actually did rank for his name? I never built another site on Wix after that, except for some local pool guy out here. But the point was, you know, I took a little action. I got the results, and like Chris said, I got the bug. I was like, oh my God, I got some results. I want to do some more of this. I don't know where it's going to go, but that's kind of what I started with. And so as I finished up school, I kept working on web development, learning website design, and I actually sat in these chairs once again, and Chaz Key came up here and talked about ranking videos on YouTube. And after it was all over, I said, hey, you know, will you teach me how to do SEO? And he's like, get out of here, kid. You're bothering me. And then I just hounded him every single day. I'd send him an email. I'd call him. I'd bother him for a week. Then I'd give him a couple days off. And then I'd just keep hounding him and hounding him and hounding him. And finally, after like 6 months, he just caved. And he's like, just meet me at the Starbucks. And so we sat down and we talked. And he's like, if you want to learn, I'll show you what I know about SEO. He's like, what do you want out of this? And I'm like, I just want to learn, because at the time I was selling business cards as a business. We were selling like offset printing, brochures, T-shirts, anything you could print for a business, we were selling it. And I was just doing it as a broker. And we were paying a company in that business to do the SEO for us so that we could get found. And I showed it to Chaz, and he's like, these guys are not doing it right. And he started showing me that they were just sending me a bunch of backlinks from really crappy websites that are overseas. And I said, well, look, man, if you're not going to show me how to do this, then how am I supposed to get it done right? You expect me to just keep paying these guys that you're telling me are doing it wrong? And he's like, well, you're going to get sandboxed. I'm like, well, then just teach me how to do it the right way. And so he finally caved. And he's like, I'll let you start to learn how to do some of this stuff. And he just gave me like little projects to work on. And I cut my teeth for him for like 2 years learning stuff. And that's really how I got my start in understanding more than just nothing or not really knowing anything at all. And as I began to do more stuff, he called me up one day and said, hey, we're going to start a meetup group at the Antero, and we're going to teach SEO, and you'll be my co-organizer, and you'll be able to learn, and you'll also be able to help people because you already have a head start on what I'm going to teach them anyway. And along the way, we'll probably monetize it and make some money. But he's like, we're not going to make money right away. So don't expect to make a lot of money at first, but eventually you might just make the money. And so I was like, okay, cool, let's do that. And so I began to do that. And people began to approach Chaz and say, hey, I want to hire you to do my SEO. And he would tell them how much it costs. And then they're like, I can't afford you. And so then they'd come to me and say, hey, can you do it for me? And I was like, well, I could coach you how to do it. And so that's how I began my coaching career. And so I began learning and coaching people how to do SEO for their WordPress sites. Fast forward a few years later, I ran into Chris again, and he said, hey, Animal Behavior College is looking for a social media guy. I know you're an SEO guy. I'm doing the SEO for them, but maybe if you want to do the social media, you can come on the team. And so that's what I did. I took the chance, and I went in there. Teresa knows we were sitting in there. And I didn't know anything much about social media other than the fact that there's people here, and the people that were doing the work didn't know what they were doing, and I could do a better job than they, or at least that's how I thought. So that's what I did. I just moved into that position, and I began learning Facebook. And so we took over all their stuff, and we blew it up for them. You know, they went from like 12,000 likes to like 40,000 likes, and they were spending $50 a day on ads, and we turned it around and started spending about $5 or $6 a day on ads. We were getting 10 times the results they were getting before. And everything just kind of expanded and expanded. And we got to a point where I just said, you know what? I'm going to leave the company. I'll train whoever it is that you want me to train for this department. And I'm going to go out and start my own agency. So that's what I do now. So I went from being somebody that didn't even know how to send an email to anyone, or use email for that matter, to somebody that now I manage about $7,000 a month in client retainer for ads and everything marketing related. So here we are today. So what we're going to talk about is Facebook. How many of you have like a personal brand page for your business? Something that's not a person-to-person relationship, just so I can get an idea of the room. And then how many of you want to just market as you, the person, the influencer, or your business is you representing? Okay, a little bit less. Okay, so for the people that are doing the person-to-person, we'll talk about that in just a second. For the people that are doing the my business needs to reach people, you're going to probably do it from a fan page. You're going to probably need to start considering who's your audience, who's your avatar. Build those avatars. In other words, avatar meaning who's your persona, the ideal clients you want to reach, and begin to allow yourself to connect with those people as a brand to them. Give them content they need. You can market to them through ads. You can market to them through organic posts. You can do cross-marketing from other platforms. You can have things like your blog, your website, your video content, whatever it is that you're doing on a regular basis, you want to be consistent with it. And you want to put it out there to the right people and give them the opportunity to sink their teeth into it, to adopt it, to embrace it, to become a part of it. And then they can become part of the community. Simple things that you can do since you're doing it from a brand page perspective is if you can get people to like your page, you can go back and run ads that people that like your page. If you can get people over to your website and you got a Facebook pixel on your site, then you can go retarget those people with advertising and things of that nature. What I personally do is not that anymore. I did that a lot for Animal Behavior College, but what I focus on is P2P. Now, people say B2B, business to business. People say B2C, business to consumer. I say P2P, people to people, okay? So are your target audience of people on Facebook? Yes, they are. If you know where to find them, you can build relationships with them. And from a personal account, you can do it by becoming their friend. And simply friend being they friended you or you friended them on Facebook. So what I like to do is I use me, Anthony Frank, the personal account, to connect with people that are my ideal customers or have my ideal customers or have my target demographic of ideal clients in their network or they're influencers of the space that I'm in. And so if you go on my personal account, I just dumped about 500 people, but at one point I had about 2,000. I don't like to get it too high up because then the algorithm kind of gets wacky. But for the most part, none of the people on my account are actually related to me or friends or family. They're all ideal prospects or people that have my ideal prospects or influencers that have my ideal prospects. And what I want to do is I friend them or they friend me. When that friend connection takes place, the next step is move it into the messenger, right? So how would that work? You might see some of their posts. You might comment on their posts. They might respond to your comments. You might start to build a rapport with them. You might start to engage with these people from your personal account to theirs. And you should have a profile photo of your smiling, trusting face that people can know, like, and trust, right? They don't want to see your picture of your dog. They want to see who you are so they can know that they can know, like, and trust you. And as you begin to have those conversations in the comments, you want to start the friend connection. So either they friend you, you friend them. When that friend connection is accepted, then you want to add them in Messenger. How many of you using Facebook Messenger? Okay, great. So Facebook Messenger, just like we learned about Google, rewards you for using Google products. If you're using YouTube, they own it. They'll reward you. If you're using, you know, a WordPress site that they can rank in Google search, they'll reward you because you're making search better. If you're using, you know, anything that Google owns or controls or has an interest in, you know, making it more friendly for local, they'll reward you for that, right? Same thing applies here on Facebook. Facebook will reward you for using Facebook's products. So what are the other products Facebook has? Facebook Messenger, Facebook Live, right? And so the end of the day, all of these social networks, no matter which platform you're hanging out on, their object is eyeballs on the website so they can sell more ads. That's what they need, right? They need interest, they need eyeballs, they need attention so they can sell more advertising. So if you're using multiple products that they own and manage, they're rewarding you because you're keeping more people on the platform for longer. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is how do you leverage the mechanisms that these social networks have in place to keep people coming back onto the platform? Things like notification marketing, right? Being able to leverage all the reasons Facebook puts out notifications. How many of you see a ton of notifications in your social tab from people that posted something in a group or said something on somebody's comment, right? So those are all notifications that Facebook's sending out to email. How many people see the notifications on the Facebook tab itself in your mobile that say so-and-so commented on whatever, right? These are all mechanisms that these social networks created in order to get people to come back to the platform. So start to understand the mechanisms that exist on the ecosystem that you're playing on and how to leverage those mechanisms to get more attention, visibility, and exposure for whatever it is you're doing actively on that platform, right? Leverage those notifications. The other thing to keep in mind is once you've got the friend request, you want to migrate that conversation into the messenger, okay? And that's a great way to trigger the algorithm, kind of like a workaround for not necessarily always needing to buy ads. Because if you understand how ads work, you can only run ads from a fan page or a business page. But you can't run ads as a personal account, right? But you can connect with people as a personal to person connection, friends. You can add them in the messenger as a person to person. You can have a conversation with them in Messenger, and you're automatically triggering another mechanism that Facebook has in the algorithm. So now Facebook understands, oh, you talk to them, they talk back to you, go ahead and show them another post in the next 24 to 48 hours that that person put up on Facebook, and let's see if they engage with it. The reason that this is powerful is if you build the right network of friends on your personal account, quote unquote, the personal account that you're using for this, then you can converse with people in Messenger. You can trigger the algorithm to get Facebook to show those people your posts more often, right? Like think about somebody like Ed. Ed's already active in Messenger. Like 2 years ago, he's like, why aren't you using Messenger? I'm like, why do I even need that? He's like, no, you should go in there and try it. And as soon as I started to use it, I realized, wow, if I connect with Rich on Facebook and then I send him a message, hey, how's it going, Rich? Do you want to get together? We have a job to do. Come out and give us a bid. And then I'm talking to Ed. Hey, Ed, how's it going? What do you got going on this weekend? Do you want to come out to Vegas with me? Whatever that is, those conversations are opening up the mechanism that Facebook's like, oh, these two people talk. Show them more of the other person's post and do it within the time frame of them just having a conversation, you know, small window of time, 24 to 48 hours. As you've built up that rapport, you'll see that it spills over and it continues to grow, and it allows you to keep showing up where all your friends that you've talked to in the last few weeks are like, gosh, your posts are always showing up, right? And they don't know why. They're just like, you're everywhere. And it's like, I'm not everywhere. I'm just everywhere in your timeline because I've tricked Facebook. Now, just recently in the last few weeks, Facebook started to make adjustments on this. So I'm seeing it tweak itself down. It's not as cool as it was like the first half of this year, but it still works. No, pretty much from like, you know, I've been doing this for a little over a year, this trick I'm talking about. Pretty much all of this year up until maybe about, you know, Thanksgiving, it was working extremely well. So no, what I'm doing is I'm having conversations with the ones that are sending me a friend request when they send me the friend request, right? Something else that I figured out is when SEO started to change and die over like the last year and a half, it's being replaced by social connection, right? What I would call social connection optimization. So what used to be, I need more backlinks to get to the first page of Google so I can get more exposure and visibility to the right people. Now it's, how can I connect with people, right? People to people. How can I connect with people in as many links in the chain in their ecosystem of life, right? Can I connect with them in their personal email? Can I connect with them on Facebook? Can I connect with them in the friend request? Can I connect with them in Messenger? Can I also connect with them on LinkedIn? Can I also connect with them on Twitter? Can I also connect with them in the Twitter direct message? Can I connect with them on Instagram? Wherever they're spending their time, I want to make a connection with them, right? Like if you're familiar with multiple prongs in marketing where they say hit them from 2 angles, how many different connections can I make with Rich, right? I can talk to him in Gmail. I can be his friend on Facebook. We can talk in Messenger. I can send him an email in LinkedIn. We can be connections on LinkedIn. I can send him a message in there. There's a new app that I've been playing with called Shaper. I've already signed up 30 people for my event just from the Shaper app. And all it is just an app that's piggybacking off of LinkedIn. So how many ways can I connect with someone in order to build multiple connections? So I have lots of prongs on how I reach them on a regular basis. And then I can determine where do they spend their time, right? Because the thing that our advantage now, as SEO begins to dwindle off and it's getting replaced by social connection, the advantage now is big data is on our side. Because we all carry these phones, Facebook and Google know everything you're doing all the time and where you are. And as long as they're communicating with each other, how many ways can I help them understand that we belong together, AKA we're connected somehow, right? So understanding how that works, leverage it to your advantage, right? So if I'm connected with Rich on Facebook and then we're also, I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you, Rich. I just know you and I keep looking at this side of the room and I don't really, you know, so. But, you know, if we're already connected on Facebook and we're talking in the Messenger, the next logical connection is, can I connect with them in Gmail? Because now if I'm connected in Gmail and he's a Gmail user and I'm showing up in his primary tab, am I going to be able to indicate to Google and to Facebook that Rich and I are friends? Are we going to be able to leverage that to our advantage? Yeah, right? And now you're seeing it continue to grow to the point where Facebook's now allowing businesses to run an ad that says, comment whatever word you want the trigger word to be, and we'll let a Facebook Messenger bot talk to that person from the business page to the personal account in Messenger, right? And so same thing there, like we're doing ads for MB2 Raceway. So we'll put up an ad that's like 2 races for 19. Comment yes if you want to come out and race. They say yes, immediately triggers a messenger bot ad to the person's messenger. And it says, claim your voucher here, click the link, right? Or you can sort them out like a ManyChat bot or a chat fuel bot, whatever kind of chat bot you want to make. You can sort people. You can say, hey, is this you or is this you? How many are familiar with like Ryan Levesque? Anybody know that name? No one? Okay. So Ryan Levesque, he figured out something about 2.5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. He started promoting it about 2.5 years ago. And it's called the ask method, right? And so what he does is, rather than marketing to you and everyone else on his list the same sequence of things, he's like, first, tell me who you are. Are you A, B, C, or D? Then I can give you content catered to your situation and your needs, right? So for example, are you an internet marketer that needs help growing your agency? Are you a new author that just wrote a book and you want to sell more of them? Are you a speaker that wants to speak on more stages? Or are you new to this and just trying to figure it all out? Okay, great. Now that you've classified yourself, wonderful. What can we do? We can show you more relevant information to your need, right? And he calls that the ask method. If you want to get the book, it's called Ask. Right. Sure, but that's like an antiquated system, and we're talking about how do you digitally do that to people you don't even know that just got introduced to your ad or something like that. So two different.
It's being very specific about how certain groups
What he's saying is you're not qualifying them, they're qualifying themselves.
Yeah.
They're saying, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, but really what he's saying is, hey, don't just let them get on your list. Make them sort themselves out first, right? I'll give you another example. I just met a girl earlier this year who sells about $8,000 worth of MLM toothpaste on Snapchat, and every month. Okay, so she does about $8 grand a month in MLM toothpaste for like an AP24. And so I said, what's the hardest part about what you're doing right now since you're in the MLM niche? And she says, I want to throw my phone out the window because of how many people contact me in Messenger, and I had to sort through them all manually. And she's like, you know what I did? She's like, I got a funnel set up and I got a robot set up. And so now when they hit me in the Messenger, it says, do you want to buy toothpaste? Do you want to sell toothpaste as a distributor? Or are you interested in business opportunities? Or do you just want to talk to me? And then they choose where they go. And then when they click that button in the Messenger bot, it sends them to the funnel that says, hey, I'm so glad that you want to buy toothpaste. Here's the link. Or if they chose, I want to be a distributor. Hey, I'm so glad that you want to distribute AP24 toothpaste. Let me show you how, right? Here's the systems that you need. Register under me right now, kind of thing, right? So the Messenger bot took away all the work for her, right? Somebody else I just recently met in Vegas, he sells big rims. So if you have large rims for your car, he has a website about buying big rims. And then he figured out over time, like, you know, over the last 10 years, the Facebook page he has for big rims is really growing it. And then he's like, okay. And then all these people started saying, hey, where do I get the rims I'm looking for? And they'd give a type. Or they'd say, hey, where do I sell my rims so I could buy the ones I want? And so he's like, those are the two most common questions. Where can I find XYZ rim? Or where can I sell my rims? So he said, I just set up a robot that says, do you want to sell your rims? Go join the Facebook group and sell them in there. Do you want to buy your rims? Great. Go to my website and check it out. Here's where you can shop for rims. And so he lets the robots sort themselves out, right? So the idea is if you can qualify people and you can classify them, great. But if you can let them classify themselves, even better, right? Yeah.
Are they truly good or helpful? But is there a point where they just get annoying and you're seeing them?
Sure, yeah. It depends on how relevant the bot message is, right? Like Kat Howell, I think she's exceptionally good at running Facebook ads. Her robot sucks in my mind because it's like I go through everybody's funnel that I see because I just want to see what they're running. So, and I want to see what their upsells are and stuff like that. So like for her, so it was like, hey, do you need help in growing your agency? Like, sure. And then what does it say in the bot? And so it's like, hey, I'm so glad you're alive. Like, what a dumb message to send. And then Facebook requires that you disclose to the person, hey, this is a robot, just so people that don't know what robots are yet don't think that they're actually talking to someone. So it's like, hey, this is a robot. My name is Billy or whatever it was. And then it's like, oh, I'm so glad you're alive. It's like, that was the stupidest message you could have programmed into your bot that I've ever heard of. And then after that, it's like, hey, are you this or this? And she didn't leave any other room for you to say, well, no, I'm not either of those, right? And so right away, I was like, delete, like, I'm over it.
So, her, how do you find her and do you like her at all?
I think Facebook ad-wise, she has a lot of good content out there. I think her robot sequence that I saw was not very good. Like, in terms of what she's teaching people about ads, she's really good. But in terms of that specific ad campaign and that robot, I think the sequence was terrible. She could have done a much better job. Yeah, you know. I mean, there's so many great experts nowadays that all have like some profound thing that they've figured out along the way, right? Like,
none of us, I don't know you guys, anybody else, we just live in the same area and all of us know about her and talking about it
yeah,
somewhere else in the world.
right,
That in
yeah,
itself is a testament to
yeah, absolutely, right? You know, and like, go ahead. You can get ManyChat. That's probably the easiest one to program. M-A-N-Y chat. Probably the easiest robot to program. If you have more of like a web development programmer mind, Chat Fuel is probably going to be more in your style of what you're looking to do. But they both do the same thing. And there's probably 100 of other ones. Huh? Do they what? Yeah, Facebook's the one that created the opportunity for them. You don't even need one of those if you actually want to go program your own robot. You can. Like that guy Manny I was talking about with the big rims. He's a programmer, like writes code. So he wrote the bot for himself. But, you know, to use a piece of software that'll do it for you, where all you do is just say, when they do this, I want it to say this. When they click this, I want it to say this. ManyChat's probably the most simple to use version. The way that it works is you're connecting the software like ManyChat or Chat Fuel to the Facebook account. And then if you're running it from a business page, you're telling it when I run an ad, aka a messenger ad, then the ad call to action or extinction or whatever distinction that you want, right? Because there's different kinds of ads. There's a video views ad. Those are to get video views. You need to have a video on there. There's a brand awareness ad. That's like, hey, I want people to see this image within the community I'm trying to reach. Or there's a conversion ad, the objective, right? So it depends on the objective. There's one objective that's strictly a messenger bot objective. So you're running an ad that's connected to the ManyChat program sequence you've made. And that ad is going to trigger the bot in their messenger when they comment on the post or click the message button. And so you can choose like, what are the trigger words? Yes, or I want this, or comment whatever word you want to trigger. And then you just tell the robot, hey, anybody that writes this word or clicks the button, hit them with this message.
Your question is there any WordPress plugin that would dovetail nicely with chat or
Oh man, I don't even know.
the ecosystem of Facebook, and once they actually click the link, go through your funnel, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything that would bring them through the process on here?
I'm sure there is. I haven't really been looking around. I use Instapage for a lot of the funnels that we're running. So we're literally saying, hey, Facebook Messenger bot ad, you've committed to the button click. You're opening it in Messenger. You committed to the message button. The button in the message sent you to XYZ landing page. We have a Facebook pixel on that page. The pixel puts the cookie on you. Now we can follow you around the internet until you complete the transaction we wanted you to take. And if you've done that one, then we can follow you around the internet with whatever we want to show you next. Or we can tell Facebook, hey, they already got to that thing. Go ahead and show them this new ad. So I don't know the answer. I'm sure there's something. We haven't really looked into like that because we're not really using, like with Instapage, it runs on WordPress as a plugin, but it's not going to let you run plugins on the Instapages. It's only going to be like a landing page mask for the site kind of thing.
Another question, not for now, possibly. How much good
Yeah.
funnels that you like a lot? What top 5 funnel flows that you?
Scott Alford is the king of bots. If you guys see that, anybody know who that is? Okay. Scott, and then OLFORD, I think it is. He's crushing it with bots. He probably, oh man, he had the huge launch this year and he's probably got like 6 or 7 different Facebook groups now. Yeah, right. OLDFORD is how you spell it. Old Ford. Scott Oldford. So he's got bald head. This is him. You probably can't see it. Bald head guy. Super smart. He's probably the best robots guy I've seen in the marketplace. Other exceptionally good marketers, anything Russell Brunson is doing is just top notch right now. Other people that I think are great marketers that do, influencer marketing. Obviously, Frank Kern, he's like, king. If you see his ads, he's got them running all the time. He figured out, hey, if we make the ads personal, they get a lot more connection. Like we were just talking about this at dinner. It's not about just like, hey, here's an offer, buy it. Now it's like about how many times do I have to touch and make connection and tell you a story or show you a reason why to get you to resonate enough that I can eventually sell you something. So if you look at Frank Kern's stuff, he's really great. Almost all his stuff is pictures. Right now, for the last 2 months, all of his ads are pictures of him and his wife doing something together. Kern. Yeah, and he's a godfather in marketing. Like he's been around for so long. There's a video on YouTube actually that I just found recently. It's like a little circa video, and it's Frank Kern speaking at the first ever product launch formula event way back in the day, like when nobody even knew who Jeff Walker was. Anybody know who Jeff Walker is? He created a program called the Product Launch Formula. So he's the one that taught everybody value video, and sell them something, right? That's Jeff Walker's system. It's not, jab, 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 right hook. Gary just stole Jeff Walker's content and said it in a different way. Not that he stole it. He probably figured out on his own, hey, it's the same idea. It works. Oh, wow. But yeah, like to me, there's a huge difference between mainstream Gary Vee type of people and like real marketers that sell to marketers, right? You don't see Gary Vee out there like trying to put marketers on his email list. They're following him because he's just out there talking on his soapbox all the time, and he's not going to stop until everybody knows who he is. Versus guys like Frank Kern, they're actually selling to people that market for a living, right? So to me, there's like the underground IMers, and then there's like the mainstreamers. Like I wouldn't spend money going to a social media summit in San Diego to see Michael Stilzner and all these mainstream Twitter people talk. I would spend the money to go see like underground people that actually know how to leverage what's going on in the marketplace, that are less known but make way more freaking money. I'm trying to think who else I like. Somebody that I don't think is like, oh, wow, this guy's such a great marketer, but he's just tremendous at omnipresence. Kerwin Rae. If you guys follow this guy, he makes fantastic video content. He's from Australia. So Kerwinrae is his last name. Really good, profound videos. Lots of good information. I wouldn't say he's like some exceptional marketer, but really good. Obviously, Grant Cardone. How many know who Grant Cardone is? So he's got the most omnipresence online, period, right now. He says his objective is to meet every single, or make sure everybody on the planet knows exactly who he is, because that's how he'll make the most money. Super smart guy. He's got an event coming up in February that I'm going to. He's really good. He just did a lecture. If you go on YouTube and look for Genius Network, Brandon Burchard, you'll see the lecture he did. Anybody know about the Genius Network? Okay. So Joe Polish, great marketer for many, many years, who figured out if you capture the influencers, then everyone else will come, all right? So Joe Polish made like all his money as like a marketer that was selling in the pool niche, built up his little pool guy business, and then sold it off, and then became like a well-known marketer by associating himself with all the really big marketers like Jay Abraham. Anybody know who that is? Really, really famous marketing guy, right? So Joe Polish figured out if you capture all the influencers, everybody will pay attention to you. And so he created something called the Genius Network. So it's a $25,000 mastermind that you have to pay to get in. Jason Fladlin joined it a couple of years ago. And you need to be able to prove that you make over 200 grand a year in the online marketing space to get into the group, or at least your business makes that much money. So Joe Polish created the Genius Network, which is guys like Peter Diamandis. Anybody know who that is? Co-founder of SpaceX, right? Guys like Dan Sullivan, guys like Damon John from Shark Tank. These are all people that are in Joe's mastermind group called the Genius Network. And, you know, Jason Fladlin's in there. There's so many super smart people. Alex Charfen, anybody know who that is? Discovered the entrepreneur personality type. I had him on my show last year. Super smart guy. That guy was like number 21 fastest growing companies in 2013. Super smart marketer. Or super smart entrepreneur, now getting into the IM marketing space. But yeah, Brendan Burchard is in the Genius Network. And if you go on YouTube and you type in Genius Network Brendan Burchard, there's a lecture that he gives about how he wishes he could spend $1 million a month on Facebook. They just won't let him, right? But that he figured out, hey, I can dump every single dime I have and get a 4 or 5 or even 20 times ROI on my money just by continually running ads. And his book is actually out there on the shelf. It's called High Performance Habits, I think it is. I just saw it before we came in here. That guy's super smart, you know, really good marketer, really good coach.
What is all these guys that you mentioned and follow, what would you say is the most common one theme of the way that they're marketing today versus 2 years ago? The trend has been shifting over. Like one thing that you notice that they all kind of have something similar in their marketing style to sell either high-end or low-end products. What are they all?
I think they're all hyper consistent. They're not missing a beat. They're staying on target, and they're continually delivering the content to their audience. And they're making sure they know hyper specific, like with the needle, like the you know, Terminator 2 guy that like his finger would turn into a needle. Like they know exactly who they're trying to reach, right? They know exactly who they're trying to market to. If you ask them like, who am I trying to reach? They're not going to be like, I'm trying to reach coaches. They're going to be like, I want to reach a male that's this age range, that makes this much money, that's a coach that's struggling with these 5 things, because I can help them, right? So hyper specific and extremely consistent with the content. And then they know where their people are, and they're out there making sure that they're getting the content where they want to hang out. So podcasting seems to be the biggest thread in the needle, even though it's a 10-year-old thing. I wish Gordon was here. He's probably been doing it longer than almost anybody else I know. You know, but like right now, podcasting is getting to the point where it's just starting to reach like the broad side of the bell curve. It hasn't even crossed over into like in terms of not listening, but in terms of launching your own, right? Like everybody that's been in our space for a while, they know that internet marketers ruin everything, right? Internet marketers are just now getting to the point where they're going to start ruining podcasting. They haven't quite got there yet, right? So, you know, whereas like, what was it? When did ASM come out? Like 5 years ago? 6 years ago? So at the time when ASM started to get popular, like ASM 2, internet marketers hadn't ruined it yet. But now it's like, right? Super saturated with people selling on Amazon. Like, what was it? 3 years ago, we talked about the anti-anxiety dog treat, and we looked at the market. Kirk's been selling on Amazon for years. He knows what sells and what's not selling. And we have all the software tools we wanted access to, like Jungle Scout or AS Inspector, to say like, okay, it proves to us nobody's making any money. I just looked the other day just to see, and there's like 20 other people are selling anti-anxiety dog treats now. So it's like all of that has shifted to like oversaturation. Podcasting, even though a lot of people listen to podcasting, it's a really intimate way to connect with your audience. And so I've seen more and more over the last year and a half, everybody seems to be launching a podcast now. And it's still at that part where early adopters starting to get to mainstream isn't ruined or oversaturated quite yet. I would imagine by this time next year, it's probably going to feel like it's on the backside of the bell curve already. But yeah, I would say those are the things that I see. I'm trying to see who else. Yeah. Who has one?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, Gordon's been doing it about 10 years. Who else is like super awesome marketer? I'm just looking through my timeline to see.
A bit, going back to big data, looking at Facebook, Google, everybody, LinkedIn, assuming that they're sharing information.
Yeah.
Which I think is fairly safe. But you mentioned tracking emails.
Uh-huh.
So I've perhaps too long been proud of having my domain name as part of my email address. It
Uh-huh.
would be better to have a Gmail email address for those purposes so that Google can see who I'm talking to. And maybe it's better, when you were talking about how that algorithm's fallen apart of late, maybe it's better to actually have a bit more in-depth of a conversation so it looks like, or so in fact it is, they see some depth to the relationship. Do you think they're diving that deep?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get crazy, but obviously they're in your Gmail because, like, what, 2 years ago they rolled out ads in there, and they know what you're doing. Like, have you ever noticed if you have a phone call with somebody or you're talking with somebody in the messenger verbally that all of a sudden you start seeing ads about the thing you were just talking about? You know, with Alexa being in everybody's household now, you know, Big Brother is listening all the freaking time. Even right now when the phone's not on, they know everything we just talked about. They're hearing it. They're transcribing it in their databases. They're trying to key in on words to help us, or to help themselves better give you better relevant content to whatever it is that they think you're looking for, right? You know, I don't know, Rich, at the point where they're like, oh, wow, you have them in Gmail and you gave a long conversation and we know that you really care. But they're certainly aware that if I talk to you and you never respond and I send that same email to 100 people, that I'm a spammer, versus if I talk to you and you do respond, why wouldn't they make sure that the email comes up in the primary tab, right? Like I've been promoting our event and we had, I don't know, 70 or 80 people that opted in on the page to get more information. It's like, I don't need you to opt in, buy the freaking ticket to the event. But last night, instead of just hitting them with my AWeber list, like I've been mailing them all the last 2 months, I went into my Gmail and I started sending them an email from my Gmail. And I'm getting them to click reply and tell me if they want to come and if they had any questions. And what better way to have another link in the chain to connect them, right? Same thing like earlier this year, I'll get your question in 1 second. Earlier this year, I launched a beta program called Get More Leads Club. And it was like, hey, I did a JV launch with someone and they put my program in their bundle. And so when anybody bought the program, they also got access to my beta program. Now, I could have automated everything where all you have to do is click this link and you opt in and it's going to send you an automated email from AWeber or MailChimp or whoever you want to use. And it's going to say, hey, congratulations, here's your login and password. But I didn't do it that way. What I did was I said, hey, now that you're a member, congratulations, click this link and friend me on Facebook and I will get you the access you need to the thing. Now, it took a little more work, but what I also did was now I have 100 new members coming into the program. What did I do? I made them friend me. Then I accepted the friend request. Then I added them in Messenger. Then I said, hey, congratulations. Awesome. What's your preferred email address so I can send you the login access? And then I connected with them on Gmail. And then for the whole 7 months that they were in the program, they're like, gosh, this guy's everywhere, because I purposely made sure that I leverage what I know works. I already know that I'm going to trigger the algorithm on Facebook that shows that we're talking. I already know that now Facebook understands not only are we friends, not only are we connected in Messenger, not only are we communicating in there, but now I have your preferred email address and I just sent you an email from Gmail. So now we're in the primary tab together. And now I just had you added to another Facebook group that you chose to join, right? So I'm showing them, hey, there's indications that these people connect, right? So even though it was more work, and most people be like, oh, you're crazy, that's not scalable. It works exceptionally well if you know how to make it work for you, right? And these are all tricks to not using ads, right? Versus using ads, right? So what I had told Chris I was going to talk about tonight, and he's like, you can't say that. So the reality of it all is, over the last 1.5 years of doing what I explained to you about connecting with them in Messenger after they're your friend, I've built up a nice network of the right influencers and the right target audience. So in August, I put up a post on Facebook, and it says, you know the colored backgrounds that they give you where you don't need to like have a picture anymore, you just write something and pick a color? So I just put up a red background and I said, who wants to speak at my event in Las Vegas, ? And the powerful part of that is it automatically speaks to the ones that it's supposed to, right? And not everyone in your friends network is going to be like I do, right? But that's fine, because the message is who it's for. And the ones that it's for will automatically come out of the woodwork and begin to comment on the post. And so what I did was they commented on the post, I do, yes, 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 me, whatever. So then I just got to each one of them on the comment. Oh, great. Awesome. Let me connect with you in Messenger. I'll send you a PM, private message. Now what did I do? Oh, now I'm in their Messenger. Now I'm talking to them. So why do you want to speak at the event? Tell me about yourself. What is your expertise? What would you talk about? Okay, great. Are you interested in speaking? Yeah, cool. Here's a link to my calendar. Go ahead and book a time on my calendar, right? So now they booked a time on my calendly.com link. What did that do? It just added their personal email address into my Gmail, and it added it to my Google Calendar, right? So now I have their Gmail. I'm chatting with them in the primary tab. We're in the Messenger. We're friends on Facebook, and they're on my calendar on Google Calendar. The coolest part about all that was I was able to make, you know, what was it, 3, 6, 9, like about 12 grand in sales without a website, without a landing page, without a funnel, without buying any ads. Just because I put a post, a colored background post, with some text on it that says, who wants to blank, blank, and blank? And the ones that want to said yes. And then I moved them into the Messenger, gave them a link to my calendar. And then when we had the calendar appointment, I just got on the phone and sold them something, right? So is that something anybody could do? If you have the right network of people and you have the right message, you'll be shocked how much it catches like wildfire, right? Like that day, I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. We have 60 people commenting on the post and they're all booking appointments. Like I took a screenshot of my calendar. It was just full with 15-minute appointments, just like massive amounts of appointments. And then I just got on the phone and sold them something. They raised their hand, right? But when you have that right mix of the right market and the right message and the right offer, it's like wildfire, right? It's amazing versus how many people have felt like you put something up there and the only likes you get are like sympathy likes from your friend or your family, right? So like it's amazing when you have the right pieces, how it just like, bam, it just like explodes and you're like, holy cow, this is awesome. Go ahead.
To further reinforce what you just said, being in different fields, I've worked in automotive and entertainment testing. Simple as wanting $1 from someone, all the way up to having someone invest $50,000. The exact same process he just spoke through, which you may think does not apply to your business or your background. I can attest to at least 3 other industries that works exactly the same way. The entire thing of comment, post, schedule, calendar, pre-qualification, getting the phone closed in an hour. Best example is in 1 hour conversation, someone gave us $50,000. That, and I've never met them before in my entire life. So what he just explained to you, very passionately, completely works.
Ed, you had a question earlier.
Well, I've been doing
Thanks for the validation, bro. Much love.
Facebook marketing. I don't
Uh-huh.
And I have a very large base of people who are connected directly. But I'm finding as you post and people interact with you, you get more exposure. But if you want an immediate answer, email, you don't know if they opened it unless you found it. But on Facebook, if you actually message the link, then you know if they're on, you know if they read it, and you know if they responded. So it's almost being on the phone, but better because you're not interrupting. And if they're typing, and then there's no answer to you, they're ignoring you. You know that. So this feedback is so much better, and it's a direct message. So the messaging part, I have a friend who just got off Facebook completely, but is still doing messaging. Which is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
It doesn't waste your time when you still contact your friends. So there's a lot of things changing with in-person communication. But the last, if they're on messaging, you're going to reach them faster than email. That's the bottom.
Yeah, unless people are opening emails nowadays anyway, right? The other thing to keep in mind too, which is just like, if you can leverage the mechanisms, it's going to work to your advantage. So think about what are they doing, right? If you're on a desktop on your Facebook account, you can see who you're connected in Messenger with that has the green light on. That means they're active right now. I just put a post in my group coaching program the other night, how to play the green light follow-up game. Well, I haven't talked to you in 6 months. So if I see the green lights on, I can spend 10 minutes saying, hey, what's up? How are you doing? If they respond to me, great. If they don't, okay, then I know that they're not interested. Something else that my buddy, Michael Griffiths, who teaches people about referral networking, how to build referral networks without paying for ads and get leads that you need. Something that he teaches is, hey, if I got the notification that said it's so-and-so's birthday today and I haven't talked to that person in a year, I'll send them a message, hey, how's it going? And if they're not interested in buying from me or recommending or referring me business, unfriend, right? Because you can only have so many friends on your account. You can only have 5,000. So if you're actively flushing your, he calls it flushing your account. If you're actively flushing your account where you're constantly filling it up with the right target audience of people you either can do business with, want to buy from you, could recommend or refer you business, or like Ed says, they have an overlap and you have the same customer as them, and how can you, cross promote each other? Or they're an influencer that has your target audience in their tribe and they're willing to help work with you, kind of thing. He's always looking to keep that ratio of friends, the right people. And so he just uses the birthday as a mechanism for himself to say, okay, I haven't talked to that person in a year. Let me send them a message, see how they're doing. And if they don't want to respond, unfriend, right? Same thing, Casey Eberhardt and Maurice do this too. They're the ones that first started telling me, hey, you know what I do is I get home every night at 8 o'clock and whoever's got the green light on, I start trying to get them into a conversation where we could have a Skype call or go meet for coffee so I could tell them something. And so it really does work. And I was just telling, yeah, Casey, yeah. Oh, he's awesome. Casey's more in the network marketing space. Kirk can tell you guys. But he has a great meetup group in Van Nuys. Him and Maurice do it a lot together. Casey does about 200 speaking events a year all over the world. A lot of them are in Australia, London, Texas, Las Vegas, you name it, he's there. Most of the time he's the MC, so he's got tons and tons of people on his network that make millions of dollars a year. But really smart guy. He calls it low tech, big check, right? He's like, if I could teach people how to make money, and he calls it Double Your Check Club. That's the name of one of his groups. So he's like, if I could teach people how to double their check without being very technical, then it's good for everybody, right? So a lot of what he does is teach people how to use send out cards and that kind of thing, because that's one of the products he sells often. But in a nutshell, he calls it low tech, big check, right? How can I be not complicated? Because he always says, instead of saying like marketers ruin everything, he's like, marketers make everything way too complicated for everybody, right? Instead of making it as simple as possible. And so at the end of the day, a lot of what he does works really well. And he uses the same system that I was talking to you guys about. Like a lot of the stuff that I perfected with it, I learned from watching how he does it and how Maurice does it. But same thing, they do the green light follow-up thing. They just call it something else. But they're constantly figuring out a way to make sure that everyone in their friends network is either talking with them, buying from them, or recommending and referring. Otherwise, he calls it unfriend, right? Or he calls it the dance. He's like, if we're gonna dance, you're gonna give me some money, or I'm not gonna dance with you anymore. And then you just go somewhere else, right?
I got that $5,000 barrier. I had to delete people.
Oh, the 5,000 people barrier? Huh.
I posted on there, time to clean up. If I remove you from having interacted, very short post. Got 200 responses all the way. I'm still on the list.
Yeah.
Something as simple as just putting out that you're cleaning your list, they interact, see if they're still connected. Which event gave you that you now have 200 people who responded to a very simple post. But it does give you an idea who cares.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get comments, it'll drive the post to get more visibility on more people's timelines that are in your network. And, if you have people in your network that aren't recommending or referring you, and you're following the system we're talking about, then at some point you want to either unfriend them, or replace them with other people that are your ideal audience. So a great way to find the people that you're trying to reach is the Facebook groups, right? Everybody has already classified themselves in buckets that they like XYZ thing or they're into XYZ thing. So if you start finding the Facebook groups that have your target audience hanging out in there, and you start going in there and answering people's questions, and you're adding value and you're posting regularly, people in that group are going to realize, wow, this person is approachable. Like, you'd be shocked how many times I've gone in groups and answered questions for people, and people that are in that group that I didn't even know were there were like, oh, I see the answers you give people all the time. That's amazing. And oh, I saw the answer that you just answered for my friend. That was really nice of you to really just give them everything that they needed to know. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't even know you were in that group at all. Like, never see you engage or comment on anything. But it opens the door, right? So a great way to leverage the groups is go in the groups that have your audience, hanging out in them, and add value and communicate and comment on people's stuff, and you know, watch how that starts to expand your friends network and open up the possibilities. Yeah, go ahead. And I don't know if we went way over or not.
How many of you actually are thinking about starting a business online? And you, because you already have one, or currently just like here to kind of explore the options in there? Because one thing I wanted to emphasize is that I know a couple of people who haven't raised their hand, but they always have different ideas that are coming up. They don't know what they really want to get into. They're like, I get questions asked all the time. Well, if I want to get an online business, what should I start in? But Anthony's talking about Facebook groups is a great way to actually see if you're really interested. To be honest, if you have a skill and you're really good at it and you want to help people, that's the right place to start. It really is. Go into a Facebook group and start helping people. What you'll start to see is you'll actually grow an audience on your own without even doing anything other than just being helpful. And if that can turn into a business, have a following that's begun, and it didn't cost you anything except a little time. But you'll also learn in that industry by being helpful what people want. And if you can answer those questions and give them what they want, you can create a product and sell it. And it's really important to focus in on something like that, especially if if you have just an idea. Right now, I mean, I'm going through that phase right now on a whole new business potential, or restarting a business that I've put up before that's actually done very well for me that I'm going to be start going into. So when he's talking about those type of focuses, I really want people to understand, being that this is the first meetup of 2018, second day of the year, I want to make sure that anybody who has big plans to get boosted, I know New Year's resolutions, 92% of them actually never get passed the second week of February. But sometimes momentum can pick up. There's still 8% of people who do take off their business and said, I decided 2018 was going to change my life, and they started taking the action, and they didn't stop. Sometimes it's because they were interested in it and they started doing something, or they got now luck didn't happen. It happened because they started. So I want to make sure that this is the year I really like all of us, every single one of us, to really explode in our business, our ideas of starting new, or if you're already grounded in growing something, take advantage. I hope you don't mind. I'm pushing a little bit. This guy all the way from Vegas. So, I mean, he doesn't live in our area anymore. And I'd like you to, if anybody has a question about their business, in general, just a different perspective.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be about Facebook, whatever.
Really different mindset of a lot of different marketers are out there, because he's a Facebook marketer, which a lot of us don't market as much as Facebook as we do in other ways. So I'd like you to take advantage of the fact we have 10 minutes. I want to get in 5 minutes. Actually, I want you to share your business first.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Steve, do you mind pulling that up on the projector for him? Oh, you have it here. 661 373 3176. Oh, now that's on the internet.
Yep. I'm gonna blast this everywhere.
Could you say it again? Louder.
I'm gonna flash it across the screen, the entire video. Yeah.
So yeah, authoritymakerbootcamp.com is the domain. So we have an amazing event. Some of the people in the room are actually already registered, and we'd love for you all to come on out. It's called the authoritymakerbootcamp.com. And so, oh, nice. So, you know, we were just talking about Facebook communities. One of the guys speaking is Josh Forty. He's built his Facebook group in a little over a year from 0 to 23,000 highly engaged entrepreneurs. He just sold an info product called Personal Profits for something or other. I forget what it's pretty much like a course that teaches you how to build a personal brand for profits. But super smart guy. Steven Larson, anybody using ClickFunnels? Anybody know about ClickFunnels? Okay. Just a couple of you. So ClickFunnels is like a website software as a service company that lets you build a single design website that's made to make somebody take a single action at a time. And what's the next action you want them to take? And what's the next one? So that software as a service company has grown in the last year and a half from 0 to like 60 million in sales, and they're on their way to 100 million. So the guy who works for the owner of the company, Steven Larson, he builds like the funnel for the book that they just launched the last 2 times in a row. He's built hundreds and hundreds of funnels. He's going to be speaking at the event as well. There he is, just the... So this is Steven Larson. He's going to be speaking at the event. He's going to talk all about funnels, and he will make an offer at the event. But I tried to make it to where almost nobody on the speaking stage can make offers.
Does anybody not know what a funnel is? Okay, cool. Okay, now I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Funnels are an important word that you'll learn about internet marketing, regardless if you're selling a pen or if you're actually selling a $10,000 consulting course. A funnel is basically just like what it sounds like. Just like what it sounds like. Big broad audience, and that's your audience that's out there. And what you do is you're going to start to get those audiences into the funnel by giving them more information, feeding them more, hooking them in, and drawing them into your area, and right at the bottom of the funnel is your sale. So it goes. How many of you want a pen? 5 of you might raise your hand. So 5 people have presented my phone. And then you how many of you want a pen for $20? And it says, you tell them why it's good, get a free refill with that bonus pen at the end. Here's your pen for $20. Don't wait for this more.
Yeah.
And then you put that in the funnel. But that's sales.
Or you're like, would you love this pen? How about if I give it to you for free and all you have to do is pay for shipping? And the reason that is I could give you something for free, and if you paid for shipping, what did I just do? Well, not only that, I just captured the entire customer profile, including your credit card. So what does that mean? You trust me enough to give me your credit card number. So I've got you over the biggest threshold I need to get you over, and now I can upsell you more things. Well, now that you got the pen, would you like a whole box of them, right? Whatever it is.
That's the 10-second explanation. But when you actually talk to people that are actually on like big funnels, those are professionals that actually offer perfected funnels. And that's the kind of stuff that.
Yeah. So this is. Oh,
yeah. So this is.
You had a question?
Every funnel is exactly the same. I mean, everything I see, they're exactly the same. So that it's like so old, and I don't want.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell me how this is.
That's funny. So
Shut up and
with
take my money.
Josh started a community about a year ago. He's got 20,000 plus members in his Facebook group now, and super smart guy. He's going to be speaking there, and just brilliant. He's going to be accessible. You can check this out. This is January 17th in Las Vegas. How many know who Manny Lopez is? Anybody know who this is? Cool. So Manny Lopez is going to be there. Manny has built apps, mobile apps, for people like Les Brown, John Leslie Brown, Ken Harrington, some of the largest MLM companies in the world. So he'll be there speaking as well. That's Chris Duncan. James Smiley is going to be there. James literally has worked with Google, Facebook, Verizon, AT&T. He sells like 6 to 7 figure contracts. So he's going to be talking all about how do you land high ticket contracts like that. Kelly McCausey is going to be there. Chris knows Kelly. She's super awesome, really approachable person. She's going to be talking about private label rights. How do you get content that you didn't have to create that best serves your audience, that you can distribute to them, whether you label it your own way or just give it to them as it is without having to make it all from scratch. So she's super cool. Seth Green, anybody know who this guy is? He's the co-host of the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. So he's a 7-time best-selling author. He's going to be talking about podcasting and how to leverage that in your business. He was voted Marketer of the Year 3 times by Dan Kennedy. Anybody know Dan Kennedy? Super famous copywriter. Michelle Mall is going to be there. She is from the Intelligent Millionaires Network. So she's all about networking and creating networks of opportunity in your business. Michael's going to be there. He's the only other person that's going to make an offer, and he's going to offer you a guaranteed international best-selling book. So if you want to get your book published internationally as a bestseller, he'll help you do that. Michael Griffiths is coming from Australia, all the way from Sydney for this. He teaches people how to do referral marketing. So he calls it Super 8s and profitability partners. He has 5 levels of people or categories of people that he wants to connect with, can either recommend or refer him business, and he can do the same for them. and his 5 levels pretty much generate him about 150 leads a day, and he doesn't buy any ads. So he teaches his system for that. Oh, this guy too, he'll be there. So I'm going to be speaking as well. And then let's see who else. My partner, Lauren. Okay, so Lauren started speaking a little over a year ago, and he's booked himself 127 paid speaking gigs in that time. Some of his clients are Whirlpool, Say Yes Chicago. And he uses Thumbtack to do it, so he doesn't hire an agency or anything like that. He actually figured out his own little system to do it for himself, and so he's going to be sharing that as well. So, yeah, super smart guy. So, yeah, if you guys want to come, it's going to be January 18th. So you'd have to arrive on this January 16th or January 17th. You're going to arrive on the 18th. Seminar on the 17th. We'll do a little bit of hanging out on the 18th, like a happy hour day, and then you can go back home. And it's going to be in Las Vegas. It is going to be amazing, and it will be. You can get tickets for $97. So if you want to come, or 2 tickets for $197 if you want to bring a friend. So we'd love to have you there. And I'm not going to hard pitch you on it. I'm just going to let you know it's there for you. No, you know what? We already sold out of the room block, so I would recommend if you want to come, stay at the Red Rock, stay at the Sun Coast, or stay at the JW Marriott. It's going to be in the west side of town. It's going to be an event location called the Lakeside Events Center. 20 minutes. Summerlin, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, $97 for a ticket, or you can get 2 tickets for $197. It's up to you. You had a question in the back of the room. Yeah. Vloggers, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I remember you telling me.
I know how to do it, but I really haven't had any luck with it. I have more traffic pictures, but the last time I've been trying to set up something, I'm having a problem. Most of my traffic. So I just kind of got off and so this year I think I'm going to take 6 months and then find bloggers who already follow. When I hired time. They already so I'm trying that way to see if it gives me more traffic.
Yeah, I would say do your research and find every YouTuber that has influence, that has your audience, that would love your product, and befriend those people. Anybody that wants to buy leather bands, right? So mostly like teenagers, and then maybe some women that are.
With the avatar? What does that person look like?
Yeah, give them a name and an identity. Like Chris knows how I did this.
He did a course on avatars.
Come to Vegas.
But you need to know exactly, not people who want to wear that. That's too broad. Who is that person? Is it a male, female? What's their ethnicity? What's their income bracket? What do they do? Why hobbies? Why do they wear that? And you need to go ahead and find those. Say they're at them, make friends with them every once in a while.
And I found that I get a lot of I think because I like a both, you know what I mean? It's like that southern, western kind of look. So I am gonna focus more on the southern. Not necessarily. Focus on individual type of. Why are they? Who are they? Yeah, I mean, because you find that the thing is, you find a couple of them, and you appeal to them, they'll tell their parents.
One of the fastest business and say, can I ask you a few questions, and in exchange I'll give you a 15% off on my store for your next purchase or something like that. Like, you want to know them like your best friend. Like, you describe everything about them, right? Like Chris has a dog and he's married and they don't have any kids, and his dog's name is Muffin, and they live in, you know, a condo, right? You want to know them like your best friend. Like, he saw me make avatars for Animal Behavior College. It took us like 6 months, but we knew exactly who we were targeting and their name and who they were.
Like what bloggers we follow, what YouTubers we follow. Because then you just take all your stuff and find a different random blog. You find the people that you find people then you have people you know that you didn't know you don't use it. All of a sudden you look and see. Because it's really important. That's what you're talking about. Influence marketing is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you're gonna have, you know. Yeah, like one of your avatars might be a 12-year-old, one of them might be a 16-year-old, one of them might be a 25-year-old, one of them might be a 40-year-old, right? The 40-year-old might live in Atlanta, Georgia, and maybe her name is Megan, and she's 19. She has a 19-year-old kid, and she's 40, but they both like to wear the same chokers, and they both like to dress at the same places. And the influencers they listen to is YouTuber A #1. You go figure out who that is. They like to, you know, follow this person's Facebook page. They pin pins from these 12 boards more than anywhere else. The comments that they often make are, and what are they, right? Do they have pets? What are their interests? Where are they spending their time? Get deep on understanding who they are, right? I call it reverse engineering Facebook friend profiles.
It's 8:30, and this is actually our 12-hour ending time of it. I want to leave everybody with one thing before you leave, just a thought. About 4 or 5 years ago, some of you have maybe heard this. I had an idea about actually building where people would go to Hawaii, and I'm from Hawaii, for those who don't know. From there, I would tell them, what is it to do? They get bored after 2 to 3 days of food, or want to do more. And I was telling all these places with food that's so good that only the locals will know. You need to try these places. Just look out for the beaches where nobody's on the beach in the day. You want to be at those type of places. And I said, 25 things that I haven't built the site for besthawaiipics.com. So that if anybody asks, people found out I was from here, they ask, I'm going to go, what should I do? I send them to the website. Here's some ideas about different beaches. So I had this idea about making a scavenger hunt. Somebody has told me there's a scavenger hunt sites that are out. Basically places that you should visit when you go to Hawaii that you may not even know. You can get through them in 3 days, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to go to these places. And if we took a picture with the app, they would upload to the site, and now this is the whole idea that we actually started investigating on how we have it. Turned out it was $1,000 servers, developers, everything put in place. And didn't have the money. Thought, you know what, that's too far of a thing. Just kind of let that thing die. Last night, my wife said, text from a friend, checked out this app that has basically exactly. I mean, the thing about it was how we make revenue. We're going to actually have some of the best pastries in Hawaii are very unique. So we would go to those shops. We would actually tell them, we're going to tell people to take a picture in front of your shop. If people from all 25 of these spots and all of them come now, every picture they show, everybody who joins the app does this, they'll get a free picture and it's sponsored by it. Sponsored by this, sponsored by this. The different areas where they go, there's only they go there, they're going to sponsor. And we would tell them, put money into it, to the sponsorship. Or we can even actually have bonuses for people doing that. Can you imagine the social media growth? We let it die. Somebody has t-shirts given away. Exactly. You do all of the things, and then you take a picture. How we said, I don't know. I shared it with my wife. Says either somebody just is right on it. We have the right idea to go there. It's international. They have cities that they've done all over.
I started getting on my Facebook about great gift, $11 to get the map of whatever city.
Correct. There's a map, and you just go to these places. Now they're charging to be a part of the scavenger. So these guys are making a lot of money on all the people who are joining on the membership, and it's per city they charge. I was just going to get sponsorship. tell them to try specific foods, it would make them think if they bought it, show them they would get bonus points for it. This whole system was put in place. I missed a multi-million-dollar opportunity because I just got $50,000. I mean, there's a world, there's a way, and I know what I've put enough. There's no way.
It's like Teresa said a couple years ago, you're going to put it out into the universe, right, Teddy?
I know market. You know, everything could have been done. Though. Somebody did it, and if they're making millions, I just don't want anybody to say that is not possible.
Are they making millions? Are they doing it the right way, or did they just come up with?
They're actually going well farther beyond than I. Well, I maybe would have been. They're actually using. What is those sites where you like Groupon type sites? Living social. That's what she does. Somebody click her on living social and people are signing up for it. You can see it on that. But it does. When you go to Hawaii, honestly, just that alone, that type of thing can actually really spend a little advertising on the phone or something like that. But if you have an idea, don't let it die. Try it. 2018 could really be the year for you. I mean, there's so many opportunities that we're really missing out on. And there's good ideas here. So,
Who else had questions before we?
I'd love to hear.
We could be friends on Facebook. I actually don't, but I can give you my number if you want. Yeah, sure. 661.
So I've heard you talk a lot about a lot of things, but I guess I'm an inventor, and I just have my new product, and I'm patent pending and all those weird things, and I'm just spent so long in development, and I'm just where I'm ready to go, and the world has changed in terms of how you market, and I have a WordPress page, and I have a Facebook page, and I just have pulled away from it in a sense because it seems very open. And I'm even I did the AdWord certificate. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do this. So I'm just a place where I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
What is your niche? Niche.
Oh, well, I would say purse accessories is probably, even though it's a patented product, so it's a lot more than that. It's women. It's women's apparel, but it's anybody who drives, anything from 16 to 75. You've got to be a female.
What income bracket?
Sorry?
What income bracket?
You really could be anywhere because it's a very low price. So what you need to do, I think my target market is working moms that are very, very busy. And on the other end of that, people who have trouble keeping track of things.
It's not just technical.
Right, and it's not electronic. And so my whole background is software security, which helps me not at all.
I mean, I would start by trying to get some people to take them and do some market research with those people. How does this serve you? Do you like it? That way you can get a better understanding. You are my buyer. You're the one I need to go find 100 more of, right? Get deep on them. Okay.
And went through and dealt with all the issues that came up. And actually, in a design standpoint, and they've given me testimonials, and I've got videos. I have everything. I just don't know how to put it together.
Well, you know who they are, so go find them online. Facebook is the fastest way to do it. You know who they are. You know their age. You know where they are in the country. Make an ad that's to those people.
Have you tried Pinterest?
Oh, that's going to be huge too, yeah.
The reason why I think because everything that you just gave me about the demographic is on a majority of them. And yes, they're on Facebook as well, by all means. But yeah, the Pinterest is a very powerful tool for female audiences, and especially if it's practical because they like useful stuff. I mean, they like cute stuff, but yeah. But if it's cute, practical, I mean, you want to try something.
very easy. I mean, it's everybody that I show this time to.
Are you on Facebook?
Well, if I'm not marketing, no. I mean, I go on. I get on it for because I continue to find out if anyone needs my product. You know, people are getting close, but they're not there, and so.
How many people will have a problem with the school? Start building.
Start building.
For both of you. Really basic question. How can I scale as much as possible? I would argue. Go find a key demographic. But really important. I did this. I worked around 5 years. I want 5 years. You don't want to go. Thousands of followers. You don't want to find. You don't want to find 100 sweet spots, subscribers, and followers on YouTube. 20,000 or 30,000. Because you saying to this product, work hard, get along. Now, give this to you. All I have to do is review. Once they get over 20,000 egos, they want money. And they want more than one product. So you want to go for people who actually engage with you and grow with you. So ideally, they'll do something free at 20,000. And then when you help them out, next 50,000, 100,000, they'll continue. That's again, like, there's now that nobody. I said, he's for concert tickets. Here's a guy called That's Me. I want to play a little album. You don't have to be able to come into the music right about it, but here's 2 great things to visit. Those relationships are always good business. So in my art, ads, they're doing. I would suggest you define your avatar. Go find influencers that are attainable, that can make it reasonably. If you sell 50 more breaks, big bump. Go find something that has 50,000. Here's a 5 for you.
Yeah, or even on Instagram, you know, like he's saying, if you find the accounts that have 2 million, they're going to tell you it's $500 for a shout out or $300 for a shout out. But if you find those middle ones that haven't quite made it yet, still very approachable and cool, and have your audience, yeah.
Mom, I'm out here. I just launched an inventor. I want your feedback. If you get on this, I used to use my email as reading earthly. Something really weird, like water respond to you. I think it's my daughter sent me your profile. I think we can work together. What do you think? In their minds, oh my gosh, I think yeah, right. I see it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's up and coming. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Okay.
Sure. Any questions?
Yeah. You guys mentioned tips about what people should do for emails like that. One thing I would throw out in there, whenever you're going to try to meet with people, buy free lunch. You know, I'm traveling. I travel a lot. I would actually say, hey, what's the best? You'll get some person that doesn't know you. Hey, come off this way. Great. I'm going to run off on me. People will always look for
my butt.
Especially if they know you and they want
Yeah, my buddy, he sells lab work, knows nothing about the medical industry, but he cold calls doctors and says, hey, we'll take over your...
Make it easier, more seamless for your business, and taking care of you. He never gets a hold of the doctor. What he does is he calls the gatekeeper that's going to answer the phone at the doctor's office, and he's like, hey, I'm in town, I'm in the neighborhood, we just had an appointment canceled. You mind if I bring you donuts? What do you like from Starbucks? How many people are on the staff there that also want something? Get their drink orders and text them back to me at this number, and I'll bring you guys Starbucks. That's his game. You win in every single. You know, I'm sorry. My wife is really sick, so no, want to make sure that if anybody has any other questions, I mean, we'll be around for your minutes.
Yes.
What's coming? If this is again, if your first Tuesday of every month, we meet here at 7 o'clock. If you sign up on Meetup.com, it's free to sign up just to get the notifications because occasionally things happen. Like the last time we were gonna have a meeting right where the fires were. It was right on that hill, so I know that. And that's the only way you can mass. So Meetup.com is the place to sign up for this. Again, if you have any questions, we'll probably be here for another half an hour cleaning up. If you have any Thank you very much for coming out.